Good evening, everybody. How are you all doing? Wonderful, wonderful. Good evening. I almost want to say board members because you're all up there. I'm not used to it. My name is Mario Diaz. I'm the acting town manager here at Surfside. Some of you may have seen me on Monday when I did my little introduction. I don't have my paper out. I figured it worked so well on Monday. Why not do it again? Or Tuesday, sorry. Why not do it again? Maybe I should have written it down. I want to thank you all for being here, for being part of tonight. I want to thank everybody who's watching us as well for being with us. And this is a very, very important night. Your civic engagement is what makes our community stronger. And it is okay to have difference of opinions. It's okay to discuss those things. And that is what makes our community great, that we're able to do that and we're able to thrive. Tonight we are lucky to have the Miami-Dade League of Women's Voters. Thank you. We have their civic director of engagement.
Morgan? Yes, I'm the voter services chair.
Voter services chair. I should have written this down. Ms. Morgan Anderson, thank you so much for being here. And again, as our moderator, we have Dr. Murphy. Dr. Murphy has been moderating the discussions. I don't want to call them debate, I'm going to call them discussions for the past 12 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Forever.
He's a professor in the University of Miami, and he's a strong advocate of civic engagement as well. So Dr. Murphy, thank you, and welcome back to Surfside. With that, to all of the candidates, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being engaged. Thank you for caring about Surfside. Not only tonight, you are sacrificing your time away from family, but should you be serving, there's going to be many, many, many more hours. And I promise I am very long-winded, so our discussions will go even longer of sacrifice away. It does mean a lot, and that you're willing to do that for the community and the town that you love is a great service for everyone, and hopefully it's fulfilling for you as well. With that, good luck tonight. I wish you the very best in this process. And I welcome Ms. Morgan. Do you want to say a few words? Good night, everybody.
Good evening, candidates. Good evening, community. My name is Morgan Anderson, and I am the Voter Services Chair for the League of Women Voters of Miami-Dade County. Our president, Marisol Centeno, is usually also here, but she is on a very well-deserved vacation right now, so I'm happy for her. So I am standing in for her, proudly. So tonight, I just want to welcome you all here. It really gives me encouragement and hope to see so many candidates running for elected office in a municipality. I think that we need more of that. And I welcome you all, and I hope it is an enlightening and productive evening. So just to go over a few of our League of Women Voters best practices for candidate forums. I emailed you all last night, hopefully you received it, a copy of our guidelines, and I think the town clerk, Sandra McCready, was so kind as to print them all out for you. So just quickly to go over them, hopefully you all are here as yourselves. There are no substitutions or stand-ins. You give consent to the recording of this forum, but none of it could or should be used in a political advertisement. No phones, iPads, or other electronic communication equipment. It must be turned off and not used by candidates. So if anyone has a phone, an iPad, anything, please go ahead, turn it off, put it away, just so that we're not using it during the forum. And the questions have been submitted ahead of time by the constituents, so Dr. Murphy will be giving you those questions. They have all been submitted by your residents and constituents here in Surfside. Just to go over the format a little bit of the forum, candidates will be introduced by the moderator. So we will go for your opening statements in order alphabetically. Perfect, I see you all are sitting in alphabetical order already. So you'll have 3 minutes for your opening statement. And then when you do your closing statement, that will also be 3 minutes, and we'll go in reverse alphabetical order. So when you are asked a question, you'll have 90 seconds to answer and 30 seconds for a rebuttal if you're mentioned by name by another candidate. But typically it's just 90 seconds to answer the question. Myself and my colleague at the league, Luis, our membership chair and treasurer, he will be also keeping time. So I wanted to show you, you can keep an eye on us. We will be holding up these cards and staring you deeply in the eye when you have 1 minute of your 90 seconds, when you have 30 seconds, when you have 15, and when time is up. All right? So please remember that this is, as the town manager said, we don't like to call it a debate. It is a forum, it is a discussion. So we will be speaking one at a time. However, if you are called on by name by another candidate, you do have 30 seconds to respond. But we will let you know when that 30 seconds has begun so that we can all speak just one at a time. All right, so with that, welcome again to the candidates and the community. I'm happy to be here, and welcome to our moderator.
Very good, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and we'll do everything in order as stated. I want to let you know though, you do have 90 seconds to answer questions. Don't feel obligated to use the entire 90 seconds. The residents have given a lot of questions here, and just simple math tells us if we do this, we're only going to have 2 or 3 questions. So let's be quick in your responses, and also I really hope you can avoid name checking your opponent during this process, because it just gives them 30 seconds, and then I have to keep track of who's name checking who, and it's just let's just answer the questions and leave that for another day. Is the best way to move through this. So we're just going to start right now, and we're going to start with our opening statements. Ms. Ben-Mergue. Ben-Mergue, sorry. And I'll
Okay.
correct.
That was loud. Wait, my time didn't start yet. Wait. Okay. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank God for this moment. I also want to thank my supportive family and the League of Women Voters. My name is Donna Diana Ben-Mergue, and I'm running for Surfside Commissioner. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, where I grew up in a warm and stable home with loving parents who taught me the importance of family, respect, and helping others. I was born with a birth defect. I'm blind from my left eye, but that never stopped me from achieving success in life. I learned early in life that challenges can make you stronger and overcome anything. My family also raised me in a Jewish home with strong values of community, responsibility, and giving back. Public service has always inspired me. My grandfather, Jose Alfon, was mayor of a little town in Spain, Ceuta, and he was killed defending democracy. His courage and commitment to standing up for what is right was always been a powerful example for me. While living in Caracas, I was always involved in social work and community activities. I was also a painter back in the days, and I often donated my artwork to institutions so they could auction it during their annual events to raise money for important causes. After high school, I spent a year in England and then returned back to Venezuela, where I began my career. I studied languages with a major in business in Universidad Metropolitana de Caracas. After graduating, I got married and moved to Miami. My husband Isaac was finishing law school at UM, and soon after, we already had 2 babies. We were looking for a wonderful place to raise our children, and we knew that Surfside was the place we wanted to call home. Slowly, many of our dear friends moved here as well, and together we raised our children in this beautiful town, going to the beach, enjoying the parks, joining the town activities. Professionally, I spent many years as office manager at my husband's law firm, and then later on, I owned and managed a dental office where I handled all the financing, recruiting personnel, etc. Most importantly, I am a proud mother of 7 kids. Raising a large family was not an easy task, but it taught me patience, love, and compassion. Some of the things I want to focus, if elected, are traffic issues, public safety, improve lighting, and promote community events. Thank you so much for this time.
Very good. Mr. Verdugo.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Jonathan Verdugo, and Surfside has been part of my life for a long time. I first lived here in the 90s with my parents, and about 12 years ago, my family and I chose to return to make Surfside our home again. Like many families, we chose Surfside because of its unique character. A small coastal town where neighbors know each other, kids ride their bikes in the streets, and you can walk to the beach or to the shops while still feeling that strong sense of community. Professionally, my background is in technology and engineering, where I've spent years solving complex problems. Like many people in Miami and in Florida in general, I also work in real estate and property management for my family's portfolio. But my strength has always been applying the technical and practical approach to solving challenges. Over the past 12 years, I've seen Surfside grow and evolve. However, growth always comes with important challenges like traffic, pedestrian safety, responsible development, budgeting, and trying to preserve the character that attracted all of us here in the first place. I'm running because I care deeply about this community, and I believe my experience, my background, and my commitment to Surfside can help guide our town forward while protecting what makes it special. I'm looking forward to a thoughtful and respectful discussion here tonight. Thank you all.
Mr. Blumenkrantz.
All right, good evening, everybody. I just want to say that I want to acknowledge a very fine lineup of candidates here tonight. I wish we can just have all 8 of us on the commission, make it an 8-man commission, call it a day. But unfortunately, we got to do this, so we'll get through it. Anyway, my name is William Blumenkrantz. I was born and raised here in Surfside. My parents bought a home on on Emerson Avenue, I live on Dickens, for $22,500 in 1956. I spent many childhood afternoons fishing under the old wooden bridge that connects Surfside with Biscaya. So, other than that, I spent many days shopping on Harding Avenue with my parents. There was no traffic in Surfside when I grew up. And I'll tell you why. Because we had a local shoe store, Florsheim, where my parents bought me shoes. We had a local 5 and 10, where we got our toys. We had a local hardware store, where we got our hardware. And if we had time, we get a milkshake at Sheldon's drugstore. In the evening, the hot spot to eat dinner was Denny's New York, I'm sorry, not Denny's, Danny's. Got Denny's on my mind. Danny's New York style deli, which was the closest thing we had to a kosher restaurant at that time. There were no kosher facilities anywhere in Surfside. So we've come a long way since then. The town has changed a lot, and I've lived through it all. My mother had a office, a travel agency on Harding Avenue. She conducted tours all over the world, and I was fortunate enough to accompany her in over 25 countries throughout the world. I spent weeks in India. I spent weeks on a safari in Africa. I was in the back country of New Guinea. I was in Australia, all through Europe, almost every country in Central and South America. And every trip I took, the best part of it was coming back to Surfside, because seeing these other countries throughout the world made me really realize what a good life we had here. And I've come to appreciate this town in a special way. So I'm here to continue that. I'm retired. I worked 39 years at UPS. I have all the time in the world to devote to this town, and I plan to put in as much time as possibly needed. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Kinzer.
Thank you. My name is Jocelyn Kinzer, and like all the people up here, I am running for Commissioner of Surfside. I want to thank the League of Women's Voters, all of you who have given your time to run, and all of you who are here tonight and at home watching us. I came by my decision to run honestly and without a hidden agenda. I know that this job only pays $1 a year, and in my mind, that dollar is largely ceremonial. I'm a lifelong Surfside resident and have a unique perspective on our amazing town. A Kinzer has lived in Surfside for the past 70 years. I am so lucky to have the guidance of a former mayor who also gave 22 years of public service to the town. I'd like to thank my father, Mitchell Kinzer. He's taught me more. Sorry, getting a little emotional. Thank you. More than I can ever imagine. Like him, I'm not anti-development, just anti-density. I believe that our zoning is what keeps our small town small. I love my neighbors. I love you all. But I really don't want you on top of me. And I really don't want you handing me a tissue late at night when I sneeze. The town is already dealing with the density issue forced on us by our neighboring municipalities. I am hoping to prevent that happening in the form of a greedy developer who only has profit in mind. There is no way that the post office property will be affordable housing. It will also take away parking and change the character of our downtown district. I know that most of you are concerned with the traffic and the flooding. And I've come to that conclusion by talking to you all, my fellow residents. I don't have all the answers, but I do have a problem-solving mentality, and these are problems that I, as well as you, want solved. There is also no reason that our resiliency committee had to be brought back. It should not have been gotten rid of to begin with, especially if one understands that our town will be underwater in our lifetimes. We are one storm during a king tide away from seeing that we have to do something more for flooding and distributing stormwater. The Abbott Avenue draining project is a good start. I also want to say that if developers want to build in Surfside, they need to play by our rules. They need to follow our zoning. I know that the term legacy resident has been used negatively to describe people like me. And I believe that those doing that don't want those of us who speak up about zero-lot homes to speak up. They want us silenced. If elected, I will do everything in my power to prevent Surfside from becoming like our neighboring municipalities. I have no interest from making money from my public service and do not pander to those who do. This goes for my professional life as well. As a person whose career is in nonprofit development, I deal with donors on a daily basis. I understand fiscal responsibility, complete transparency, and listening. I hope you will give me a chance.
Mr. Lansman for 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you first to the League of Women Voters, our moderator, Dr. Murphy, our incredible town staff, and to the residents of Surfside here in Chambers and watching from home. Many of you know me as your neighbor and from my years of service to the town of Surfside. My name is Fred Lansman, Surfside resident for 16 plus years, husband, and father of 2 daughters, both now in college. I've been a member of the Downtown Vision Advisory Committee, the vice chair of the Planning and Zoning Board, and a commissioner from 22 to 24. I ask for your vote to once again serve our town. I believe that experience truly matters. There is no on-the-job training. My career has been in corporate talent acquisition. I've also been an entrepreneur owning and operating a restaurant. I understand customer service, how to listen, and care about others. Being a commissioner requires time, relationship building, the ability to debate, and make the best possible decisions for all of our residents. Our town continues to face challenges: infrastructure, traffic, parking, the size of our single-family homes, assessments and recertifications for our condo owners, taxes, pending lawsuits, and the Live Local Act, to name a few. Break ground and build a lasting memorial to the 98 souls that we lost. I do not have all the answers, but pledge to work with other members of the commission, our town manager, our town attorney, to keep Surfside moving forward while always keeping an eye to the past. Our town is resilient and remains a unique enclave within Miami. I will fight to keep it that way. I support your rights, public safety, our dedicated police department, our town employees, all of our businesses, and of course, all of our residents. I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. When I started preparing for these speeches, I began with what I thought was the introduction, just to then realize that it was actually the ending. It's not easy to introduce your ideas, yourself, in a way that doesn't sound like a resume or a series of promises. So I wanted to do something different and start with talking about my neighbors first. I've had a lengthy conversation with Jared on traffic during my first day of canvassing. Then David was pretty concerned about overdevelopment. Maria wanted to discuss street safety. And then I was fascinated by the stories of the residents that have been here for 30, 40, 50 years, back to William's point, and more. Spent here in Surfside with so many stories about how the town has changed. But what moved me was that virtually all of them were happy to be here and were not nostalgic about a world long gone. There is a lot of wisdom in all this. If there is one constant in this world, is that it constantly changes. We can't stop that. But we can absolutely manage these changes. We can be smart about them. We can find ways to navigate these challenges while we preserve Surfside's character and we stop overdevelopment, we manage our traffic, we're rigorous about our budget, and we protect our environment. That's where I think I can help. I'm a civil professional engineer, and I've worked around the world designing and building bridges, highways, and ports. I know what it means to deliver a project ahead of time and under budget. And I know that it takes a village to do that. Teamwork and leadership are essential. In my free time, I'm a volunteer as well. I started Yoga for Meditation, a nonprofit that works with teens and adults to promote a flexible body, a clear mind, and a compassionate heart. With the town of Surfside, I served on the Sustainability and Resiliency Board and on the Planning and Zoning Board. But I'm not here on the dais alone. I'm grateful for the support of my wife, Gloria, my two kids, Naima and Ricardo, and we also have a little rock band going on with them, by the way. And of all my friends who have been so generous and supportive during what I never imagined would be such an intense effort, that I have actually to stop here while I see all these blue shirts and before I shed a tear. So thank you very much. Looking forward to this.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Murphy, and thanks to the League of Women Voters. I want to say thank you as well to our town staff who made not just this event possible, but especially to Sandra McCready, our clerk, and her wonderful staff for making this whole campaign run so smoothly. I'm very grateful for that. Like my colleague here on the dais, Mr. Blumenkrantz, I want to begin by sort of acknowledging and thanking my fellow candidates. Two of you I met only recently on the campaign trail. That's Mr. Weingut and Mr. Verdugo. but the others have been friends for a long time. And I share the feeling that it would be nice if we could all be commissioners together. We did that with the Youth Council. I want to especially acknowledge Ms. Van Mergie. Our families have lived across the street from each other on Froud Avenue for almost a quarter century. She knew my dear departed parents. I know her husband and her grandkids. And it's just, it's really moving to see neighbors here working together for the good of the community, and I'm glad that we can be part of that together. My name is Gerardo Vildasti. I'm the only incumbent commissioner here running for commissioner again. And so many of you may know me from my work on the town before. As I said before, I'm here with a group of wonderful people, and that's going to make things challenging for you, the voters, because usually in a Surfside election, there's one or two meanies that you can cross off your list. This time, it's not going to be that easy. These are all good people, and they're all good people who love the town. So when you make your choice at the ballot, what you're going to have to ask yourself is, what's necessary to turn personal goodness into political goodness? What are the traits that are required? I think that in addition to being a good person, you need to have other traits. You need to have an even temper. You need to be a little bit thick-skinned. You need to be honest, and you need to have the courage to speak truth to power. You need to have knowledge about the town and about law and government, and you need to have experience. And I'll say that I think that I have those traits, and I think I've shown them in my time as a commissioner. I believe, therefore, that I should be among your top 4 choices. And I want to give a few reasons for that. First of all, and to begin, I think that in my time as a commissioner, I've modeled what a better politics for Surfside can be. When I first ran for office in 2024, I said, I want to show you that Surfside politics can be better. And in my time on this dais as a member of the commission, I have tried to always be informed, thoughtful, honest, respectful, and compassionate. When things got heated emotionally, and they did, I tried to stay calm. And I'm very proud of the fact that after 2 years on the commission, I've been endorsed by all of my fellow commissioners for re-election. That's not an easy thing to do. Many of our former commissions have had bad breakups, and you can think of some in the past. But even though those commissioners disagreed with me, and I cast a great many dissenting votes because I was an independent voice on the commission, they still stood by me, and I think that says a lot about what I can do as a politician. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Weingarten, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Weingarten, and I'm running to serve you on the next town commission. Before we get started, my thoughts and prayers are with the 6 fallen service members and their families. It is a stark reminder of the ultimate price for safety and security. With that said, thank you, Dr. Murphy, the League of Women Voters of Miami-Dade County, and to the town of Surfside for sponsoring tonight's forum and giving us this vital opportunity to connect. To every current and former elected official, for your dedication that shaped our special home, to each community member who submitted questions, attended, or is watching, your interest means everything, as caring neighbors like you keep Surfside special and vibrant. And to my fellow candidates for stepping up, it would be my honor to work with you on a unified, positive, get-it-done commission, putting Surfside first. The camaraderie here tonight is incredible, and yeah, I second that motion of all 8, so let's go with that. But for those I have not yet met, I'm a proud husband to Rivka, right here in the crowd, an incredible mom of our 4 children, Tzvi, Elchanan, Tehila, and Yehuda. We're grateful for our 19 plus years together. Every day is a blessing. Rivka's an avid runner, completing local marathons in New York City and soon in Orange County. She loves our beautiful walking path, as do I. I've met many of you there and on our beaches, and I'll fight to protect them. My background is in community service, founding 2 resource organizations in Maryland, partnering with public safety and EMS at all levels, local, state, and federal, while building businesses. Over 16 years, I've led thousands of security officers to C-level executives across 14 states in a highly, tightly regulated industry, emphasizing great people, processes, compliance, and responsive service. Giving back is core to our family values. I've served on nonprofit boards, HOAs, now currently on the Solomark Condo Association, unifying members to find compromise and to deliver it to the community. And that's why I'm running, to keep Surfside a world-class town with A-level services and unparalleled quality of life. My priorities: safety, accountability, results will keep us safe, transparent, and progressing forward. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to your questions and earning your vote. Let's move Surfside forward together.
In ways that have never been tried before.
Hello, yes. That's a great question. And I actually had an initiative, because I stand for unity. I actually had an initiative and I called all my candidates and I told them, you know what? I feel there is like a division, there's tension in these elections and I don't like it. And I don't like the fact of like, oh, you stand with here and I stand with here. I don't like that. So I invited all of them and I asked them, please bring each one your sign and I will place it on my front yard so I can show something very simple, unity. I stand for a unified community and I will do my best to create events to unify the community. Thank you.
Very good.
So I think one thing that's been missing lately it's making sure that people feel heard. A lot of discussions in Surfside lately have been became very intense. The reality is that Surfside is a small town. It's made of people from different backgrounds, and it's personally I've been comfortable navigating these different cultures. But it's something that's been part of my life for a long time, and I understand that these tense communications between people is simply because of a misunderstanding and because people are not heard. When you step back, most residents actually want the same basic things. It's a safe town, respectful conversation and decisions that make sense for the community. I think if we keep that in mind and focus on listening to each other a little more, we'll be in an even better position than we are now. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Brown, comments on this topic?
As far as an event for Surfside to bring people together, I think the town already does a very good job of that. But I take that question to another level because I think it's really yourself personally to bring the town together. My wife and I, we take walks through Surfside every single night for over an hour. And every neighbor we pass, we say hello, whether they say hello first or not. And I think that general feeling, if we can get everybody or more people on board to get out at night and share their stories or their feelings with other people in the neighborhood, that in itself will slowly bring our neighborhood together. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. So I do agree, the town does a very good job. But having grown up in this town, there is division like I've never seen before. And I think that we need to strive to remember that we are all neighbors at the end of the day. And all of our voices do need to be heard. I think that there is a fear still of speaking at meetings because people want to be heard and they have been silenced. I do also believe that I do still see kids playing, but there's still division. I played with the whole neighborhood, whether I went to school with them or not. We need to say hi to our neighbors. We need to meet our neighbors. I hate to use my father as an example again, but the whole neighborhood knows him because he gives them bananas. You know, I was at a meeting, a professional meeting, and somebody was like, oh, your dad is the guy who gives me bananas? Things like that. I think, especially when we're so glued to technology, we need to just go out and meet our neighbors.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Mann.
Thank you for that question. And again, not to repeat the same information that preceded me, but yes, education, discussion, events, people getting together, but I'll take it to a different level. What can the commission do? What can I as a commissioner do to help bridge this, to help bring us together? I'm a strong advocate of a board that was put together during this current commission that Jerry is actually, I believe, the representative from the commission is the Community Relations Board. That board, and I will say I was on that board for a minute until I was not on that board, and there's a story behind that, but I'll leave that to other discussions. That board has an opportunity, and I want to make sure that we continue that board into the next term and give it more of a mandate to actually create discussions, events, lectures, where we can bring people of different backgrounds together, different parts of our community together, and listen and listen and listen to each other. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Cavani.
Yeah, sure. So, well, first of all, you know, with division, usually comes with division is tied to drama. My brain is like struggles to process drama because maybe I guess I'm an engineer, so I don't deal well with drama. So on the other side, though, I've always been active in the community with, especially with the nonprofit, for example, trying to bring people together and even teaching techniques to help people develop compassion. So I'm very sensitive to that. So I think that you know, the way I see it is like when you build a project. When you build a project, you have different stakeholders. You have people that want something, some other people want something else. So with I've had a lot of experience trying to focus everybody on common goals. I think, and the common goal is the quality of life. We all want quality of life here. We all want to feel good about our town. So, and there's a few ways that we can do that with cultural events, as Fred was mentioning, and involving our youth with the youth council. They have good energy that can, you know, bridge the gap. Sometimes also with people with different ideas. So, yeah, thank you.
Very good.
I want to thank Mr. Lansman for mentioning me in a positive way, because the Community Relations Board is one of my main initiatives for addressing exactly this problem. It came from a suggestion of Dr. Murphy's at the debate last time. I don't know if he remembers it, but I sure did. And the idea behind that board was to create events that aren't like the tourist board events or the Parks and Rec events, but that really are focused on building community. And we've done wonderful things like the Pizza and Palm Fronds event before Sukkot. We recently did a book club celebrating a Surfside author who had written a novel recently. And I want to continue the work of that board. What Mr. Lansman was referring to is that originally I had structured the board in such a way that it was designed, the commission would appoint 5 people and then they would appoint 4 more to try to get the whole community represented. Unfortunately, the commission later overrode me on that, but I would like to pursue that vision again. If you look at my campaign materials, I talk there about the way in which I have tried to bring something special to the town. And I've really gone out of my way to try to find different ways of bringing us together. I couldn't believe that our Surfside has a Nobel Prize winner in literature from 1978 whose primary language was Yiddish. And we never celebrate Isaac Bashevis Singer. So I created an event called Singer Fest. I hope it's the first of many, honoring this great Surfsider. He's like the ultimate legacy resident, and I think he's a real opportunity to unite the community. I'll say lastly, I think one way to unite the community is with the campaigns that we run. And one of the biggest threats to community unity is this dark money PAC that I hope we'll talk about tonight. And I think we can unify the community by repudiating what that PAC is doing.
Okay,
Thank you. This is the most important question. Ultimately, so much can be accomplished when we have unity. My response is going to be devoted to my dad of blessed memory. His name was Shalom, which means peace. He loved all, and always extended a hand and a smile to a neighbor. He couldn't understand when self-checkouts were introduced to the store. He said, why would you not want to speak to a person? When we went for a toll booth, he chose to go to the human-occupied toll booth versus the Easy Pass. He said, why would you not want another opportunity to connect with another human? So we need to encourage dialogue and find compromise. We need more listening. My dad advocated for active listening. He couldn't understand why people would want to find difference rather than finding common ground. So while we may have differences in opinion, we all smile the same shape, and let's extend the smile to a neighbor and bring our community together. Surfside's beautiful, let's keep it that way.
This next question is very specific. We're going to begin with Mr. Verdugo for this round. I'm going to read it to you as written. In order to cut down on double parking and sidewalk cafe congestion, would you support a police patrol or code enforcement officer to walk Harding Avenue's business district around 96th to 95th Street during lunch and dinner hours?
Well, that's going to be very easy to answer, and the short answer is absolutely, absolutely. It's creating too much traffic, it's creating a mess, and this is unacceptable.
Okay, Mr. Blumenkrantz.
Okay, that's something that I've seen firsthand many, many times walking through Surfside. It can be very aggravating. Fortunately, most of the double parkers just drop people off or pick people up. And from what I understand, even if the police or the parking authority is there in person, they give them a little leeway. If you can get out of there in less than a minute, they let you go. So it's really a matter of how much we want to enforce it and how strict we want to become. If you put someone there all day, which might not be a bad idea, do they run after a car that's only going to be there 30 seconds and give them a ticket? Or do they follow the same system they already have? So that's a complicated question to answer. So even if someone is there, it may not be a surefire way of keeping people from stopping. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Kendra?
Thank you. I seem to remember at one point we did have a civilian. I believe his name is Mr. Spanger, but I could have messed that up. There's no reason for the double parking. I live with somebody who has limited mobility. We work around it. There are handicap spots. I honestly, when Harding is down to one lane because there are 1 million Amazon trucks and 1 million UPS trucks, why aren't they using the alleys? Why are deliveries not being done at times before opening and closing? I worked at a Starbucks on South Beach and we had to be there at 7 a.m. on a Sunday to get our delivery. There are ways to work around this so that even with the traffic problems we have, that we aren't creating more. I am open to ideas. I am not a traffic engineer, but there are ways to solve this, and it may have civilians walking around and educating.
Very good. Mr. Ransom?
The simple answer is yes, of course. And frankly, during the commission I served on, we actually allocated additional resources, additional budget to the police department to hire public service aides. The intent was to have 1, if not 2, patrolling downtown, 1, if not 2, on our beaches as well, to enhance public safety, public security, and to help move traffic, etc. I frankly don't know what's happened to those resources. I don't see them in downtown. I don't see them on the beaches. So absolutely, we need to encourage and add additional resources, funding to the police department to bring in more officers for a lot of reasons, but including people downtown to help remediate the traffic, help people find where they need to go, be an ambassador to the town of Surfside for our visitors, and of course our residents.
Yeah, so the question is, yes, somewhat complicated because it's tied to budget and it's tied to structural issues. And that's what Jocelyn was also talking about. So the idea, the goal is to avoid this. So the goal is absolutely to make sure that traffic flows on Collins, because if it doesn't flow, and on Hardy, because if it doesn't flow on these two arteries, then we're going to have an increase in the cut-through traffic. So that's why it's important. I think that we have absolutely to look at possibly having an officer. But yeah, it's like at the airport, right? So you have someone that goes there, tells you to leave, and then 1 minute I'm gonna leave, then maybe somebody else is gonna stop. So we have to see how effective this could be, as opposed to maybe other solutions that could be implemented. And I mentioned traffic because the idea is essentially to see how parking can be improved, and especially considering this on-street parking that creates the double parking as well, and the people that goes in and out. There's solutions there that need to be evaluated, I think.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Bobby.
So, in a way, there's an easy answer, which is, of course, we need to do something about double parking. I want to say that I think Chief Press does do something about double parking, but there's a harder answer about this, which is to really, I want everyone to appreciate what's involved when you say, can the police do this or that? At any given moment in Surfside, we may have only 2 or 3 police officers in the entire town. So if we dedicate an officer to this issue, that significantly limits the sort of public safety elsewhere in the town. So we can do occasional sort of organized traffic interventions, where you try to get the word out that we're serious about this. But it is a hard thing to do on a regular basis. A civilian sort of community service aide or something who's on the sidewalk would have some difficulty pulling people over who are in the flow of traffic. And so it's not all that easy. However, it can be done. I'm just saying that to kind of let people know what's at stake here. Earlier this week, I attended a meeting at Bay Harbor Islands with police chiefs from the 3 towns and elected officials from the 3 towns. And the elected officials in Bay Harbor were talking about the double parking in Surfside. And so what I would like us to say to them is, well, if you're really concerned about that too, again, this is the low-hanging fruit. Help us with the staffing issue. If you could dedicate 1 or 2 of your cops, then we can do this. But keep in mind that in Miami, pulling over somebody for a traffic infraction is always risky. And it's not easy. It's not something just a civilian can do, especially if the car is in the road. Things can escalate. So we need to be careful, and we need to make sure it's staffed the right way.
Very good.
1000%. Double parking is a cardinal sin. It is one of the many pieces that are triggering unnecessary congestion in our town. I absolutely would support foot patrol or bike-mounted patrol officer in high visibility safety vests for their safety and to deter the violation in the first place. I would encourage our police to also execute their traffic stops on a side street and have the vehicle pull out of the way of Harding Avenue so that when they initiate the traffic stop, they're not blocking 2 lanes now, as protocol is to block to protect the officer while they're executing their traffic stop. I love Surfside, I do not love this traffic, so we need to work towards solutions. And we also need to address the parking shortage. When we do so, we could also make at least part of Harding Avenue a loading zone rather than parking.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, so, yes, I do agree that we need an officer there, maybe in peak hours. Because there's no reason to have double parking. And I'm telling you, when I see the double parking, I see that we Surfsiders, Floridians, we're very well trained on not doing that. I feel it's mostly tourists. And unless it's for like a disabled person that needs to, be dropped off, it's okay. But yes, we need somebody to be there managing. Thank you.
Very good. Now, this round of question will begin with Mr. Blumenkraut. And the question as written, with Tallahassee looking to eliminate homestead tax, how are you going to compensate for the lost revenue?
The only really way you can compensate for that is to increase taxes. And I don't think anybody really wants that. Possibly a slightly higher tourist tax could be one way of going about it. There's not many ways you can get that money back, unfortunately. We just gotta hope that that rule does not go through and maybe we won't have to deal with it. But if we do, I think that particular item was already covered in the mayor's debate and they offered a couple of suggestions. It would involve talking to other cities also to see how they're gonna solve the problem, because obviously every city's gonna be in the same boat. It's not strictly a Surfside issue. So hopefully all of us can come up with a solution if we all work together. and maybe it'll never happen to begin with, so we'll see. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Denton, on this tax issue that's possibly going to occur.
Yes. So, just so you all know, eliminating homestead tax, eliminating tax in general, eliminates so many of the services that you have come to love from this town. Eliminating those taxes would affect us on a state and county level, which means less money trickling in for line items that we already have. Forget the homestead, okay? We would need to find an adequate money source. I believe it's something like $4 million. I work in nonprofit all day. The lack of grant money, the lack of federal funding, donors have come to be people we're helping now. The amount of services that we lose with that loss of tax money is unbelievable. And I don't think a resort tax or a bigger tax on alcohol can make it happen. I don't think that we can eliminate taxes. Unfortunately, I think it's, you know, the truth of death and taxes.
Okay. Mr. Lansman.
All right, I will try in 90 seconds not to get too wonky, Mr. Zomper and Mr. Kerrigan. This is a big issue beyond 90 seconds, but let me give you what I can. We have a potential here in Surfside of about $4 to $5 million that might be a shortfall that we have to deal with. This legislation requires that every municipality like ours maintains the police services at the same level and can't cut that budget. So that's more than over half of our budget currently. Only homestead properties will be exempted, so that's good for those that own their home and are exempted. In Surfside, the good thing is we have a lot of homes that are second or third homes, especially our condominiums, that will still be paying property tax. Just in the next couple of years, we have new revenue coming in from buildings that are being finalized, even before the Delmore comes online. The revenue from those units that are likely, again, second homes, third homes for very wealthy people will still be taxed, and that could bring in probably around that $5 million shortfall. So we should be in a good position here in Surfside where we can't and won't increase other taxes, we won't increase our millage rate to our residents, and still be able to provide the services that we do today.
Okay. Mr. Giovanni?
Yeah, so the issue is that the $4 million figure is coming from like about 20% of the ad valorem taxes that the town gets, which is like about 20 million. So out of a budget of 43 million, just for the income sources, plus the 10 million of the interfund transfers. So the impact is less than 10% on the budget, which is still important. It's significant. However, so I don't know about the projection, the projection of the tax revenue in the future, because it looks like it might not be that great. But we definitely have to do a little stress test to the budget and identify efficiencies. There's, you know, obviously services is something that might be affected. However, it's also important to remember we still don't know what law is going to be passed. We got to look at the details of the law before identifying what we can do. Because at the moment we're just speculating on the overall impact. We got to wait for the law first.
Okay.
So the question was a little bit, could have been worded a little better, I'll say, because it says Tallahassee is going to do this to us, and that's not exactly accurate. What's happened right now, in case you haven't been following the issue, is that the Florida House has proposed a constitutional amendment that would limit property taxes on homesteaded properties. The Senate hasn't approved it yet, so there's not even a final version. But for this to happen, it has to be approved by 60% of the voters in November. So if you don't like the answers that we're getting about budget cuts, because nobody likes to talk about budget cuts, don't shoot the messenger, but vote against this in November, because we still have a say about this. If this happens, it's not because of Tallahassee, it's because of Florida voters approving it. That said, Mr. Lansman is right, we can't cut public safety. That's part of the House, at least under the House version that's currently out there. So I think in Surfside, we do need to plan for the worst, however. I don't want to count my chickens before they're hatched. I don't want to say the Delmore is going to save the day. So what are we going to do in that case? I also think that the proposal would make an incentive for people to now go homestead their property. So we can't count on those luxury condos. If we're gonna have to cut the budget, it's probably gonna have to come from capital improvements. I talked with the town manager about exactly this scenario. I think what we're gonna have to do is hire a consultant who can help us prioritize everything we need to do in the town. But we're gonna have to give up something. The stormwater master plan, we have focus areas that are ready to go, and that's something I really would love to do as a commissioner, but we're gonna have to prioritize them. We might have to prioritize the dune restoration over the stormwater. We're gonna have to make very tough choices, and I hope we don't have to do that.
Very good.
Mr. Weinberg? I believe this is going to be a multi-pronged approach. It's not going to be one item that's going to completely offset our shortfall. Tourism tax is going to be one piece. I believe that us, the residents who deal with a lot of the inconveniences of the tourists coming through, we should be able to bring some solutions our way from that. So I am in support of that. Running businesses, I've had to pivot and adjust constantly. We get hit with tariffs, and we have to look at our P&L, and we have to look at our profitability and find ways to make this work. So it's going to be a deep dive into the budget. It's going to be the bright side of the developments that we already have happening. We're going to get some additional revenue there, and a good portion of those along there will not be homesteaders, so that will definitely offset a portion there. But we have to leverage the inevitable. The developments that are happening have to serve to our benefit and improve our quality of life, and this is a perfect example of where we could work a deal. And if a project is happening beyond our control because of the state law, we need to work a deal with that developer to make it offset something else that's going to make our life more pleasant.
Mr. Norgay?
Yes. It's a very complicated question. And we have to come up with a solution, but when we get there, it's still very uncertain, as we said. But the first thing is I would never cut on the services that we have. And when we get there, we have to, I agree with Gerardo, that we really need like a consultant, experts to come here and help us to figure out how to plan this. Thank you.
Very good. And Mr. Verdugo?
While the anticipated tax repeal for the homestead taxes poses a significant challenge, we projected the losses to be around $4 million. These shortfalls will be offset by revenue that's coming from high-end developments, and actually this could demonstrate that growth is beneficial for our budget, but it has to be done I'm more optimistic that what I'm hearing here. It's just that we have to remain conservative, but we have to know what's coming in, and I think that's very positive. And I think we should, of course, have an educated, probably, and we should definitely hire someone to answer those questions for us and plan it so we can be fully prepared to face this kind of, if the eventuality that it's going to be voted for, that we should be prepared. Thank you.
Very good. This next question will begin with Ms. Kinzer. As written, in 2012, options for a parking structure were proposed at the Abbott lot behind CVS and Flanagan's, or the post office lot, or the 94th Street lot diagonal from Publix. Some people think we need to build a parking structure thinking it will help reduce traffic congestion. Others think that if you build one, it would just make things worse. What do you think?
I'm not opposed. I am not opposed to building a parking structure. Obviously, we see it's increased parking in other municipalities. It would also give residents a place to park their cars when there was a storm during a king tide. I just think that it needs to be done in a way that keeps the character. I believe that it needs to be done thoughtfully. Obviously, we don't want something that's overdeveloped. We want it to fit our needs. Again, I'm not an engineer. I am up to listening, but we definitely do need more parking. I can tell you, Starbucks in the morning is a zoo. If you go before work, our parking for residents, there's only those few 15-minute parking spots. So people want to come here, they want to shop at our downtown, they want to enjoy our town. Why not give them a place to park and make a little revenue in the meantime, but do it thoughtfully.
Okay, Mr. Lansman.
So this brings me back to 4 years ago when I first ran for office. This question, maybe in different words, was asked as well. And I fondly remember my answer. Parking, parking, parking. Our town is dealing with parking, has for probably decades, and will continue to deal with parking issues. What I said 4 years ago, I'll say today. A parking structure will not happen on my watch. You don't need a 3-4 story building that will only have parking. We don't have the room for it, we don't have the capacity for it, and I think there is some issue with, if the parking is here, people will come and fill it up. You look at Hollywood Beach, and there's parking structures all throughout, and how many people go to Hollywood Beach and park there and use the beach? We have a small community, a small beach, and frankly, yes, we don't have enough parking. There has to be some solutions, and I don't necessarily have those solutions right here, but we need to talk to people that have the expertise. But again, on my watch, no parking structure.
Yeah, so it's again, it's a complicated question because so there's a grant, I believe, of $350,000 that we could use for traffic, and I don't want to do. I mean, there's a study done in 2023, so there's some data available, but the problem is modeling, not the study, the modeling. So what it means is that it's very hard to subjectively answer a question like this without seeing what it does to the traffic itself, how the cars move, and if you actually can relieve congestion or you're adding congestion. It could be tied to like keeping the number of parking spots even, but just moving them. Like for example, you move them out of colonies and you put them in a specific location, like for example, a small structure that could take those parking spots. But the ultimate goal has to be having less traffic, while at the same time you keep the same quality of life. And by the way, when you do a model, you get to a point where you have maybe 2 or 3 solutions. It's like in a PD&E study that you do with FDOT. You get to a point where you call the community in, you show the 3 solutions with the pros and cons, you get the community feedback, you implement the one that makes the most sense.
So when I was first elected in 2024, we got a very angry, concerned email from the owner of Overlay Opticians, one of the old Harding Avenue establishments that Mr. Blumenkrantz might remember from the classic days of Harding Avenue. And he was concerned that the lot was so full that he might be losing business. And so we wanted to address that problem right away. We did 2 things basically. We stepped up enforcement of the lot. There was a lot of placard abuse with people using handicap placards that probably were not legal, and there were a lot of Bell Harbor Shops employees parking in the lot. We combined that with raising the rates, and I think that created a workable solution. That same shop owner wrote us and said things are much better right now. So what that experience leads me to think is that that's the right approach. That I think we can go further. We can do something like dynamic pricing. If we had sensors in the lot, then the prices could go up as it gets more crowded, and we can try to balance things out. Like Mr. Landsman, I would prefer not to build a parking garage. I think that a parking garage, there is such a thing as too much parking, and a parking garage will create more traffic. Just think about how this calculation might enter into your daily life. If you have a little bit of time and you want to go to Harding Avenue to buy something, you might say, oh, if parking is a problem, I'll just walk or bike. But if there was a 4-story garage and there was always a place to park, then you're not going to feel that little bit of healthy pressure, right? We want to. It's a very delicate balance. You want to make it so that there's a little bit pressure to get there another way, and I would like to prefer that.
Mr. Weinberg.
No one deserves to have a parking lot in their backyard. However, the simple math is, if you create more space, you're going to alleviate the pressure, you're going to remove the congestion elsewhere. So I agree, it needs to be done thoughtfully. We need to be creative, and we need some fresh ideas also. They're having traffic studies done. There's what to execute based upon many of those from experts. We will need renewed studies, I believe, as things have changed. I believe it also has to be looked at on a more holistic level at 33154 as a whole, because traffic is flowing through. Traffic and parking is connected. Parking becomes an issue when you have the traffic flowing through and you have the people coming. So we need to be able to work with our neighbors, and probably endorsed by our neighboring Bell Harbor Mayor and Bay Harbor Mayor to work together to address traffic and then therefore parking as well. While I'm not an engineer, I believe we do need some new ideas, and we can look at our waterway. We don't have a water taxi here, so simply removing some of the vehicles from the road is going to alleviate the pressure everywhere. And we have the benefits of environmental benefits. We have connectivity. We have commuters from Surfside can go to Point South with a new way, with a beautiful view, and enjoy the beautiful outdoors that we have without bringing more cars here.
Very good. Mr. Miami-Dade.
Hello. Okay, so I'm not opposing to building a parking infrastructure. I see there is a need. I mean, it's not only me, everybody sees there's a need for parking here. But I do agree that we need to do it very thoughtfully. We cannot just jump on it. We have to really make a plan and have consultants help us through the process. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Verdugo.
So to answer this question is basically saying what are the results of not having parking and having parking. So right now, we don't have any parking. So there's an oversaturation in our streets. Basically, all the traffic that's bleeding, for example, on Byron, and people are parking because I live on Byron. So I see people, like, for example, they want to park, they want to go to the beach, they park on our streets. So the result is complete oversaturations of our streets, of our neighborhood streets. So the problem is, we have to understand that also parking helps businesses, Surfside businesses. So we need those parkings. Now, regarding the parking situation, if we have to build a parking structure, well, that comes, first of all, we need to ask an expert's opinion, and the second thing, it has to go through what the residents want, ultimately. And that's what I'm here for. It's listening to the residents. If the residents decide that we need parking, then we need parking. But it has to be done thoughtfully, like everybody said, more or less here. Thank you.
Very good.
That issue is kind of ironic because Bay Harbor and Bell Harbor both have their own parking garages, and we don't. But being said, I would never support a parking garage in Surfside, and I'll tell you why. And I'm kind of interested in why none of my other colleagues brought this up. Every one of those sites for a parking garage is an existing parking lot. If you build a parking garage, you're probably looking at about maybe at minimum of 2 years of construction. That would be on an existing parking lot in Surfside. So that would alleviate for 2 years, maybe 200 parking spots minimum. So during that 2 years of construction, nobody is going to be able to find parking anywhere, and it's going to be complete bedlam. So unfortunately, we don't have any place to put a garage, so that idea is out the window.
This next question begins with Mr. Lansman, and this is a little history test, I guess. It says, can you name one decision made by a prior Surfside Commission that you disagreed with, and what would you have done differently? reading them as they go.
I won't need glasses for this one.
But it's one sheet.
Again, I could spend 90 days on this, not 90 seconds, but yes, I think this question is perhaps written for me because I am a former commissioner who's been involved in town activities. I'll go with one that's from this current commission that is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, and it's something we should discuss, and we haven't yet, but I'll bring it up because it's important. FAR, floor to area ratio, the size of our single family homes. Anyone here concerned about that? Big, small, yes, no? Anybody? Raise your hands. Yeah. Come on, if you're not aware of that, you should be. So again, this current commission has placed a tremendous number of restrictions on the ability to build a home here in Surfside. I'm not in favor of bigger homes. I'm in favor of modest-sized homes that fit our character of our community. But at the same time, I think that this current commission has gone too far, too extreme. And if I am, yes, selected again, I will hopefully bring together a charrette or a town meeting so that we as residents can come together and have a conversation about what is the right size, what are the right setbacks, what are the right parameters for a single family home here in Surfside, so we can come together and have some peace and not go back and forth, back and forth. Thank you.
Mr. Carboni.
So, well, the first one that I can think about is when, because I was involved, it was when the Sustainability and Resiliency Committee was basically abolished. So I disagreed with that decision at that time. And just because I think that that's one of the things that I'd like, it's one of the points of my paper. So I feel quite strongly about it. I think I was a little, it wasn't really a decision, but I've seen that, because I've been part of the Planning and Zoning Board, and I disagreed with the way the previous Planning and Zoning Boards were taking the evaluation of the homes, because there are design guidelines that need to be followed, and therefore I liked the idea of bringing this thoughtfulness back, so that we really try to preserve the character of Surfside.
Alright, so remember how I started off by saying I was really proud of the fact that all my fellow commissioners have endorsed me. I hope I don't lose one of their endorsements with this answer. But there's another. If I could have a little bit of time, is that an alarm?
It's a phone alarm.
Okay, sorry, just a few seconds more, please. So a decision that my commission made that I dissented from and I disagreed with, as early as June 2024 in our term, it was clear to me that the cost of the undergrounding project was going to far exceed the $40 million that we had already approved to borrow. And I wanted to get that item back on the ballot as soon as possible, and I wanted to level with the voters and say this is going to be much more expensive than $40 million. We need to either decide that we're going to borrow more money or we're not. And I could not get that on the ballot for quite a while. I tried, and I think what ended up happening after a full other year and almost a half, we finally did have that vote. It was not until July of 2025 that we got this cost estimate that it would be at least $80 million, and I think the real number was something like 100. And so what ended up happening during that time is that, you know, there was this kind of, the project was supposedly moving forward, but nobody was really being honest about the full cost. And I wish that we had been able to make that decision sooner in our term, so then we could have said, okay, if we're not going to pursue that project, if the voters don't want to borrow more money, what's the next big project that we can do in Surfside? And I think that our imaginations got limited because we spent so much of the 2 years kind of hemming and hawing about undergrounding. The project was sliced and diced into 3 parts, and we were going to maybe start the first part, but we never knew how much the whole thing was going to cost. And I think that we should have made the clear decision to put that back on the ballot as soon as we could have in 2024.
Great. Mr. Weingarten.
We make decisions based upon the best information available to us at that time. So I will not be a Monday morning quarterback and make a judgment on the decisions made previously on this day. I was not here at the time, given the data that they had, reviewed the studies that they had, and I respect the efforts of what they put to it. However, I must say, based off of listening and talking to residents over the last few weeks, the restrictions on the homeowners to do and improve on their homes, rather than finding a balance, going back to the floor area ratio, that's something that I continuously hear, and I wish there could have been more balance rather than such a strong decision there. So I know that's something that's going to be looked at. But Wayne Gretzky was once asked, how he became such a stellar player, and he said, all the other players are running to the puck. I'm thinking where that puck can go, and I know that with a strong commission, a unified commission, we can get a lot done here and make good decisions forward.
Very good.
Yes. So, this past month I've been doing a lot door to door, and I've met wonderful people. And people, they come with their concerns, their ideas, their suggestions. And I'm not here to judge again. I'm not here to say the past commission or the previous commission. That's not my job. But yes, I heard some concerns that people were a little bit not very happy with the restricting. I agree with Mr. Landsman that about the restriction of the sizes of the building and a home. So, I would go back to how it was before, and that's it. Thank you.
Very good.
So for me, it's not really what was done. It's not about what was done. It's more like things that used to be in Surfside that are not anymore, and things that are like features that are present in Surfside that don't play their role anymore. I'm talking about, for example, the disappearance of safety measures like speed humps all over Surfside. They're not anymore, so people are speeding with their, I would say, noiseless scooters, electric scooters, and cars that don't make noise anymore, and they're speeding on those streets. So the disappearance of speed humps, it's a bummer for us, and especially regarding safety and for our children. Also, another feature that's creating a lot of problems, it's the presence of that roundabout. So I'm not criticizing, because probably that roundabout played its role at a certain point. But now the roundabout on 95th, it's creating a huge congestion. So we need to figure out what's the answer to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
On the past commission and current commission, it's not so much the rules or things they passed or did not pass. For me, it was more some of their attitudes. I know they put a game that's been going on, and that, to me, is their biggest mistake.
Ms. Jensen.
I'm gonna take a few minutes and say, Mr. Verdugo, I sleep with a speed hump in front of my window. Oh, you and I need to talk. Because I would love a night of sleep where somebody isn't going over that thing, trying to launch their car as far across Surfside as possible. But that's a whole nother story. My biggest issue, especially being a nonprofit development professional, is the fact that we are still in the 2024 audit, financially. I don't know if anybody knows that, but to me, the fact that our CFO or whoever was in charge was fired by a mayor who thought he was a strong mayor, with no cause that we've been given, and hired immediately by Miami Beach. Another municipality does not hire somebody who is fired for wrongdoing. Okay, the fact that we are still in fiscal year 2024, we had to bring in an outside auditor. People did not know what was going in financially. You all should be worried. And that's, to me, that was a huge red flag, and to any future audits, that will be a huge red flag.
Okay. Mr. Verdugo, I'm going to give you 30 seconds since you were name checked.
Yeah, effectively, Jocelyn, I'm very sorry because I don't have a speed bump, so I don't know what it does to us. But I agree to your statement because that's probably a disturbance. But at the same time, there's probably a better way to make those and to make sure that they are safe and they don't cause as much noise as you say. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now this next question starts with Mr. Karani, and it's, how would you ensure residents who criticize the commission at public meetings are protected from retaliation?
That's an easy question. To me, it's actually inconceivable. It's so against everything that I do, that I stand for, that I couldn't even envision this happening. So when and if we're gonna be in a situation like that on the commission where some of the members of the commission, some of the commissioners or mayor are gonna be trying to improve that, I'll be definitely there to do everything I can against that. So we need to make sure that the time is given to everyone to speak their mind. Sometimes it's, it's a democracy, so there's many different opinions. We all care about these opinions. We're all passionate. So it's our job to make sure that our emotions don't get the best of us. And I'm gonna, I guess, do a lot more meditation to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, this question is near and dear to me, and it's something that I am really proud of from the work of my commission. The previous commission, and we should name the mayor, Shlomo Danziger, who was really the culprit behind this, used the police at meetings to eject people regularly. I was forced to stop speaking at one point when the commission was trying to do this weird favor for the developer of the Champlain site to increase their buildable space by something worth tens of millions of dollars. And I was asking, well, can we find out who paid for your trip to Dubai? Because that seems to cast a shadow over this whole thing. I was forced to stop speaking. And the way they did that was there was a rule that said you couldn't make impertinent comments. Well, we changed the rule. Now you're allowed to speak, and the only time that they can cut you off is if the speech is incendiary or threatening. So people like me would be able to ask questions like that. We also created a mechanism where the other commission can override the mayor when they silence somebody with a privileged motion. But the number one thing that we have to do, and this is really important, is have a professional police force that won't retaliate. Ms. Kinzer mentioned when Shlomo Danziger fired the financial director for no reason. He also fired the chief of police and installed people who were loyalists. And those people were willing to do the mayor's bidding. Right now, we have a professional chief of police in Charles Press who would never retaliate against somebody for their speech and never take direction from a commissioner who tried to do so. That is critical. That's one of the things I'm most proud of, that we have a professional police force that won't engage in that sort of thing.
Mr. Weingarten.
Let's be neighborly, let's be nice. Everyone deserves to be listened to, that's what the mic's there for, and that's what the 3 minutes opportunity is. I encourage those at the mic to respect the mic and the other 5,700 or so residents of Surfside, because the goal and the objective there is for us to improve the quality of life for one another, and so let's work together, let's be neighborly. More listening and more understanding.
Yes. So my philosophy in life is we can agree to disagree as long as we respect each other and be civil. Thank you so much.
I think that we shouldn't be in this position if we disagree with people. We can disagree with people, but rejecting others' opinions is not a place here. So I think that this commission or the future commission should be should gear toward respecting one another. That's the first thing. And then respecting the will of the resident. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the key word is respect, and respect has to go both ways. And when someone comes up to the podium and speaks to me or anybody else up here, I would expect them to have respect. But if they want to get angry, that's fine with me. They can yell and get upset as much as they want, and keep talking as much as they want until they get blue in the face. I don't really care. I have no anger issues whatsoever, and I would never show anger back at somebody, but if they want to get up there and be upset, it's okay with me, and I would never have anybody thrown out for any reason, nor would I let anybody alongside me request to have somebody thrown out. Thank you.
Ms. Kinzer.
Thank you. I'll refrain from the old adage about opinions. I'm sure you all know it. And in a town of 8 blocks, we have a lot of opinions, but opinions should always be heard. Part of the reason that all of us are sitting up here is we're looking for your votes. Any commissioner or mayor or vice mayor serves at the behest of you guys, the voters. If we don't let you speak, we aren't running a democracy. This country is a democracy. Speech is protected under First Amendment rights. To violate that and use a force to arrest a young man and potentially ruin his future, I don't think I got more calls about Champlain than I did about the arrest of Joshua Epstein. Sorry to use him. Okay? People know I live in Surfside. They know my father was involved. They know who I am. Those were the most disgusting calls I've ever received in my life. And it was hard to watch. And it was hard to watch neighbor fight neighbor over the fact that we became a police state. This is a democracy, and everyone is free to speak, whether we like it or not. Every resident should be heard and have the allotted time frame. I stand for that. I'm sitting up here asking you to listen to me. I need to be able to listen to you. And at the end of the day, I keep saying we are all neighbors. We need to agree to disagree.
Mr. Manley.
Well said, everyone. As I did serve on the prior commission, I had to deal with sometimes very challenging conversations and debates. Yes, several people, a handful of people were asked to leave, did not, and they were escorted out of the building. My personal philosophy, and as the mayor owns the gavel, he or she has the opportunity or the responsibility to manage the proceeding. As a commissioner, I do not, and previously that provision that the current commission put in place to reinstate a speaker didn't exist. So yes, I personally would never, and I never would stop anyone from saying what they want to say. Never again should anyone be thrown out. During good and welfare, there's a regulation where you're not supposed to talk about issues that are on the agenda. In my opinion, it's my opinion personally, those 3 minutes are yours. Say what you want to say to the commission. But do it professionally, do it as a mature person, do not use profanity, because our children watch these proceedings live or in future states. So don't swear. I have a very thick skin. I did this for 2 years. People yelled at me, people screamed at me, people threatened me, people did a lot of things, and I took it, and I will keep taking it as a commissioner. Say what you want to say, but let's be as civil to each other as we can be. Thank you.
We're going to do one more question. One more question, because we have closing statements to do, and I know there's an 8 o'clock, deadline here of sorts, but I'm going to run it over a little bit with this last question. And this question starts with you, Mr. Vildestine.
Bill Dusty.
Did I get it right?
Bill Dusty.
Bill Dusty. Okay. I can say it that wrong. People like to mention that elected officials should focus on issues that affect quality of life. What does the term quality of life mean to you?
That's a great question. In my last campaign, I made quality of life one of the main sort of organizing principles of my speech. I think it means at least two things. One is that if you don't want to engage in politics day to day in Surfside, you just want to live your life, you're free to do that. Then you can trust that everything in the town is going to work well enough that you can focus on your family, your career, you know, your garden, whatever is most important to you. So it means a kind of freedom from worry. I also, you know, so that means having high quality government services that are reliable all the time. I also think it means in Surfside, because if you ask people why do you enjoy living here, they often mention the quality of life. And I think they mean something more than that too. They mean there's something kind of special about this town that we really savor. Like it has a really particular flavor. I remember in my last debate 2 years ago, I talked about the soul of the town, and I think keeping that alive is a big part of the quality of life. So it's the distinctive feature of our events, of our community gatherings, the things we do, the personality that the town has that enriches the quality of life. Of course, though, it encompasses just about any issue. So, you know, traffic can be a big detractor from quality of life. But as I said, I see it more as a kind of freedom from worry, as a being able to live your life as a Surfsider and engage with politics only when you want to and not because you feel you have to in order to defend something important to you.
Quality of life is the experience to live in peace, to know that one is safe, neighbors they call friends, and sharing in one another's happy times and support one another at their times of need. Everything else rolls up under quality of life. So our traffic issues, our public safety, our pedestrian safety, our beach, our path, all of our beautiful nature that we want to protect, that all rolls up under there. But ultimately to live neighborly, to be there for one another, and have a lovely community.
Hello. To me, quality of life means having less traffic. Like, I think everyone shares that idea. Also have cleaner streets and cleaner beach. Being able to go to a beach, watch sunset and sunrise. Have better lighting at night in the streets, so we feel safe to walk around, safer for the pedestrians, and just feeling in general, having public safety. That's to me quality of life in Surfside. Thank you.
Sorry. Quality of life has a different meaning for every probably single person in this room and for people who are watching us. So at the end of the day, it could be safety, it could be a bunch of things that we discuss here today. But at the end of the day, when it comes to be a commissioner, I think that we have to listen, our duty is to listen to every single person's opinion of quality of life. That's why we are here. We are here to listen what people think their quality of life should be. That's all. Thank you.
I was actually going to start out with what Jonathan said. Everybody has a different version of a quality of life. To me, my life is very simple. I like to get up in the morning and go out and get my newspaper in my pajamas and not feel like anybody's staring me down and feel very safe out there. It also involves being able to walk the street at night with my wife, taking a nice long walk, not worrying about anybody coming up behind me and surprising us, or a car going too fast down the street, knowing that there's adequate police out there at all time protecting us. So at the end of the day, just going home and knowing that you had a good day with no problems and no fear, and basically Surfside is that way for sure, and it always has been that way. That's one of the things we take pride in. We are a very, very safe community, and that gives everybody here a higher quality of life than in most other communities in Miami. Thank you.
Again, as most have said, quality of life, the first thing I wrote down is it's subjective. my opinion for quality of life is very different from somebody who's not 45 years old and with no children. Again, it's very subjective, and I think that a lot of times when you sit on a commission, or you sit on a board, or you work with people, you only hear the negatives. Okay, when people have a problem is when you hear from them. I really think that residents should feel empowered as well to come to their commission and tell us when we've done something right. Tell them when they've done something good. Don't just come to a town meeting. We mentioned good and welfare. And tell us that your quality of life is wrong. Tell us that your quality of life is great and why. And you know, we can't just have the negative all the time. We do that at restaurants. We don't praise our servers for the great service. We only let people know when things are bad. So I think that, you know, we all have different meters on quality of life, and you need to be able to speak to those you have elected to represent you about what's both good and bad.
Mr. Langston.
Not to repeat what's been said, but yes, everyone has their own interpretation of quality of life. What is important to me may not be important to you, but as a commissioner related to this election and to the work that we may be doing, I will listen to you and want to know what your quality of life issues are. Is it traffic? Is it parking? Is it houses? Is it schools? Is it education? Whatever it might be. So mine is not really that important to anyone outside of this room. What is important to you, I will listen. Something else that's very important to me is that I am a proponent of respecting everyone's rights. Everyone in this room, voter or not voter, friend or foe, I respect your rights to live the life that you want to live, to love the person that you want to love, to build a house that you want to build within moderation, education, your choice of religion, how you practice, all of the above. I respect your rights. And as I have the opportunity to serve again, tell me what is important to you as a commissioner, and I will do what I can to make sure that you have the quality of life that you deserve.
Yeah, so when I hear the words of quality of life, and I have a bunch of images and things that come up, like I jotted some of them down, like the slow pace of people walking on the street, and this like kind of sensation that you have in Surfside, getting together on the beach with my friends, so easy, right? My kids that went to Ruth K. Broad were biking to school along with the other kids, and the fact that we live in an international and diverse place, I love that, I really do. It also means a functional town, obviously, and that's what this is about. It's, at the end of the day, it is true, quality of life is subjective. But this is what democracy is about, I think. And it's hard because, you know, we might have different ideas, and my ideas might be a little different from your ideas. And this is what fascinates me about democracy, this art of trying to understand where we can all be. How can we be together? Maybe somebody's gonna be a little unhappy, I'm maybe gonna be a little unhappy, but for the most part, we need to have that feeling that we do have this quality of life. And communication is also important. Because, I'm sorry.
Well, I want to thank all the candidates for the civility shown to each other and to me. It's been relatively easy to manage this evening, and I appreciate it. We're going to begin our closing statements now, and we'll begin with Mr. Weinga.
Thank you all so much again. As we wrap up this wonderful forum, I want to thank the League of Women Voters in Miami-Dade County, and the town of Surfside once again for creating a space where we can come together as a community. Your efforts make democracy thrive right here in our special town. To my fellow candidates, thank you for your passion and ideas. Regardless of the outcome, I know Surfside is stronger because of voices like yours. And to all of you, our dedicated residents, whether you're here in the room or watching from home, your questions tonight have inspired me. You've shown why Surfside is so unique because of invested, caring neighbors like you who keep our town vibrant and connected. Tonight we discuss critical issues like quality of life, resilience, and beauty, balancing development to protect our charm while respecting property rights, tackling parking and traffic with smart, resident-focused solutions, and elevating our overall quality of life to make Surfside the premier place to live in South Florida, to keep Surfside that way. I'm confident we can address these head-on, drawing from my experience in community service, business leadership, and board governance, where I've always focused on unifying people, finding common ground, and delivering results. My vision is clear and achievable. A world-class Surfside with A-level government services, unmatched safety, transparent accountability, and real measurable results that enhance every resident's life. From preserving our beloved walking paths and beaches to ensuring our infrastructure is storm-ready and our streets are safe and flowing, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get it done. I'm excited about our future. Together with positivity and determination, we'll keep Surfside moving forward, stronger, safer, and more united than ever. I humbly ask for your vote on March 17th. It would be my greatest honor to serve you on this commission. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. This evening has been too short. We've had many questions. We've been able to just scratch the surface on them. So what's going to have to happen tonight as we all say goodbye is that we're going to have to continue this campaign for the next under 2 weeks, out knocking on doors, talking to you. And I think that's where I want to leave this crowd, is thinking about what comes next. I want to say that, I repeat what I said in the beginning about the traits that I think you're going to have to look at when you decide who to vote for, because we're all nice people here and we all love Surfside. You have to think about, I think, who brings the right temperament, who brings the courage to speak truth to power, who brings the right kind of knowledge about the town, knowledge about the law, and who brings the right kind of experience, especially experience in the issues that face the town and in the government of the town. That's going to get reflected in the kind of campaign that we run, and I just want to let you know what you might hear from me in the next couple of weeks. If you see my yard sign around town, every single one of those yard signs is at a house with a real occupant who's my supporter. Not a single one of the houses that has my yard sign, to my knowledge, is the house owned by a shell corporation, and I have no yard signs on empty lots that speak, where nobody lives. My financial report, so you've seen that every single donation I've received is from a neighbor or a personal friend who believes in me. I'm only able, when I do things this way, the old school Surfside way, I can only raise about $3,000 or $4,000. But you should know that if somebody knocks on your door and asks you to vote for me, that person isn't being paid. If somebody hands you my flyer, they're not being paid. They're volunteers who are there because they believe in me. If you get a postcard that was written by somebody for my campaign, it was written by a real neighbor who signed their real name. That's the kind of campaign I want to run. But that also means repudiating the people who use the other techniques. There is a dark money PAC called Surfside First, and we didn't get to talk about it, so I need to talk about it now. We won't know who's spending the money to send these flyers that are coming into our mailboxes day in, day out right now. But we saw this last year, and they were developers who put $40,000 into a PAC that was closely allied with Shlomo Danziger, and that was endorsing my colleague here, Fred Landsman, and he wouldn't repudiate them. And on the election day last year, the director of that PAC, Aaron Nevins, spent the entire day sitting next to Danziger, Landsman, and Rose. And once again, this campaign is going to get flooded with money. And if you want that not to happen, you have to repudiate the candidates who are doing this. They are poisoning the political dialogue in Surfside. And so this is a make or break election. If this kind of campaigning, this Surfside First that was founded in Tallahassee, is allowed to win, then this is going to be the kind of election we get every 2 years in this town. You have, judge people by the campaigns that they run, but also by the truth that they tell you about other people's campaigns. And I urge you to think about that very hard when you cast your ballot.
Before we continue, Mr. Landsman, you were name checked, and I'll give you 30 seconds to reply or respond if you wish. Right now? Right now, if you wish.
So it took to the closing argument to have some level of, acrimony here amongst our candidates. I wasn't expecting that, but I will tell the audience here clearly, I am not associated with any PAC Surfside first, Surfside last, Surfside anything. I'm not backed by them. Their flyers will not include my name. I don't know who's behind it. I have no association with this PAC whatsoever. My campaign contributions have been less than yours, Jerry, and I have had only people helping that care about me. I'm the one knocking on doors, no one else. So I am not associated with that, and you will not see my name on any of those flyers. Thank you.
Now back to our regular programming, we'll have Mr. Trevine do his closing statement.
Yeah, all right, but very, very important words. All right, so elections are always a big deal, and I appreciate that you all want to make sure you elect leadership. While I was canvassing, I felt really blessed to have this opportunity to speak to so many residents I've never had the opportunity to meet before. And I think this captures precisely the essence of all this, the very reason why we are here tonight. Relationships and passion. We're a town of over 6,000 residents, and we're here to make sure we have a peaceful and qualitative coexistence in a functional and beautiful place. When I decided to run, I actually did so out of a sense of obligation, I have to be honest with you. Thankfully, my life is already filled with a lot of joys, my family, my career, my nonprofit, my volunteering. But I grew up in a small town in Italy with this unshakable sense of community, where serving was not an option. It was as essential as the air we breathe. It was almost as pervasive as it was 2,500 years ago for the ancient Greeks, where the polis, the town, was more important than the individual. Why? Because the town survives the individual. But then, as I started walking the streets and meeting more and more people, a different sensation began growing inside me. It wasn't only sense of duty anymore. It was the profound feeling, not just thought, a feeling that we're in this together. That this position bears not only a responsibility, but also a sense of connection. Only then, technical topics like traffic regulation, smart growth, beach protection, resiliency, communication, drainage, budget make sense. We want to do them right, not only because it's technically pleasing, I have to say that because I'm an engineer, so, but especially because they are the physical framework over which our lives and relationships develop. I truly believe that politics is the highest form of charity. Politics is the highest form of charity. And I think that putting my passion, my technical skills, and my analytical mindset at your disposal is my promise to you that I will serve with an engineer's mind and a volunteer's heart. Thank you.
Mr. Lansman.
Now back to our regular programming. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters, Dr. Murphy, our town staff, Sandra McCready, who's been here way too many hours this week, I'm sure, and would like to go home. And of course, thank you to the residents of Surfside. In just a few days, you'll have the opportunity to vote for your next commission. Surfside needs a commission that will listen, consider options, debate, and work to bring balance, and I'll say the word again, balance, while making the best possible decisions. We have a lot of work to do in a very short 2 years. I will continue to listen and learn from all of our residents. I support your rights, our dedicated police department, our town employees, our businesses, and all of our residents. Thank you.
Ms. Tenzer.
Thank you. Again, I'd also like to thank all of you for being here, all of you watching from home, all of you who will be coming out on March 17th. Please come and say hello. I'd like to thank the town staff. I know how many countless hours you guys put in that people do not know about. And to my family and friends. As demonstrated on this dais, I'm not afraid to give straight answers to questions. I have no problems being transparent and agreeing to disagree. I am capable of empathy and putting myself in others' shoes. As I've told some of you while canvassing, I was in a unique position after the Champlain Towers collapse. I worked for JCS at the time, and I was the one who picked up the phone for every donation given to them for their work with the Champlain Towers survivors. I picked up every phone call and spoke to every person who gave to our town. It was overwhelming, the amount of love. I have the best interests of this town in my heart, and residents. Please know that a vote for me is a vote to have your voice heard and your town protected to the best of my abilities. I remind you that I'm a true child of this town. For 5 years, I might have actually been the youngest person in this town by at least 30 years. The recreation program helped shape my formative years after elementary school and during summers. The community center gave me autonomy, its snack bar allowing my friends and I to make lasting memories. As a kid on the weekends, every kid in town rode their bike together, no matter what school we went to. And we all played together. We didn't come home until somebody's mother screamed dinner. I grew up the same way that my father and his siblings did, as Bill did, as Gerardo did, and I hope as your kids will continue to do. I only want this town to keep its zoning, to keep its character, to provide the next generation with the opportunity to make lasting memories and to be resilient. I want all residents to feel that their voices are heard and they can have a place in this inclusive community we call a home. I was lucky that as the youngest resident, people let me speak. I also promise for those of you I babysat, I will not do what the older residents did and tell you when I diapered you. But I hope that when you guys come out, you vote with your consciences and you vote for what's best for this town. And thank you for your time and all the love you've shown.
Mr. Blumenkrantz.
All right, everybody, well said so far. So the town faces a lot of challenges, especially because to the north and south of us, there's a growing population and growing traffic. These didn't exist when I was younger, so we didn't have to deal with these problems, but now we do. So I'm ready to keep the town in as small ways as possible, keep a small town feel as best we can. It's not going to be easy, but I'm willing to work with anybody and any suggestions they may have to keep this small town feel that we have. Also, I have a unique connection to the police department. I know many of the command staff and rank and file officers by first name. I also know a lot of the employees by first name, and I also served on the pension board for the police department for 2 years. So I do have a sense of what's going on in town hall. I know what the morale is in town hall. I know the problems in town hall, and I know how they can be fixed. So between keeping the town itself in order and keeping the town hall in order, it's quite a task, and I'm up to it. I've always wanted to be here on the commission, but in previous years I could not do it because my wife was an employee here, so there was a conflict of interest. She is no longer here, as many of you know, so that opened the door for me, and that is the only reason I am here, because the door is open and I want to make things happen. Thank you.
Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you again to the organizers and to everyone who came here tonight and those who are watching at home. This election matters because our town is at an important moment. Over the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of instability and decisions that didn't always move us forward. Projects were started and stopped, plans were changed along the way, and valuable time and resources were lost. What residents want now is stability, concrete results, and leadership that focuses on getting things done properly. Surfside is a diverse community made up of many different backgrounds, perspectives, and experience. That diversity is one of our strengths, but it also means that we have to work harder to listen to one another and find common ground. I believe the role of commissioner is to bring people together, approach problems with a practical mindset, rely on expertise when needed, and make decisions carefully, measuring twice and cutting once, so we get things right the first time. So my goal is simple: to help bring stability, thoughtful planning, and a spirit of cooperation back to make our town move forward in peace, and I insist on peace, and with success for the benefit of all our residents. I would be grateful for your trust and your vote. Thank you very much.
Yes. Before I conclude, I would like to thank Dr. Murphy, and I would like to thank the League of Women Voters, and Sandra, she's been incredible, and the entire administration staff from town of Surfside and our police department for their work that they do every day to keep us, the town safe, running smoothly, and serving our residents. Your dedication to this community is truly appreciated. I would like also to share something that is very dear and important to me. And it's a concept that I stand for. I stand for a unified community. Surfside is a special place that I believe we all want the same thing. A safe and welcoming town where families can thrive and neighbors respect one another. Lately, we have seen some divisions in our community. I believe it's time for something different. It's time to move forward with some respect and civility. We may all have different opinions, and that is completely normal in democracy. But we must remember that we are still neighbors. We should be able to respect one another, tolerate our differences, and agree to disagree while continuing to work together for the good of Surfside. And to reflect that spirit during my campaign, I started that small initiative that I mentioned previously. I asked each one of the candidates running for commissioner to bring me their own campaign sign so I can place it in front of my yard. And my idea was very simple: to show that even though we may be running against each other, we can still respect one another and conduct a positive campaign. It's basically like a message for everyone, for the community. So you guys see that we really will work for the best of you guys, for the residents. Because this election should not be about division. It should be about serving our community. I am here because I care deeply about Surfside. I'm here to listen, to learn, and to serve humbly. Let's move forward together with respect, with unity, and with pride in the community we all share. I would be honored to serve as your voice, the voice of Surfside, and I would like to thank all of you that believed in me. I'm here because of all of you, because my supporters, because my sponsors. Thank you so much for being there for me. Thank you for your love. Thank you.
In closing, I want to thank our timekeepers, Morgan, Anderson, and Maurice, for helping out. The women voters shows up and makes this work fine. And I want to thank Sandra for welcoming back. I didn't realize this is my 12th. It's been 12 years every other year. And on election day, as your Irish moderator on March 17th, I'll wish you all the best of luck and happy St. Patrick's.
sorry, let me get through. There's so much more I want to do.